Good morning, Dutchman.
Good morning, Dutchman.
It is Monday, October 7th. We are still in Moscow. It was an exciting, a little too exciting of a week 5 game between the Cowboys and the Cowboys and the Packers. But yeah, wins are always fun. Living in a different country takes some getting used to. There's just things that they do differently. Not too strange. Russians are very, very strict about how they use an escalator. Like if you're on the left side of the escalator, you'd better be walking, which is kind of nice. But every so often there's something that kind of I don't get. I don't think I've ever seen something like this in the U.S. So take a look. So there's this thing they do in Russia where they will literally park each other in 3 layers deep. These cars are going nowhere. These guys will leave their phone number on the dash so that you can call them when they want to come pick you up. When they want to get out, they'll call you and say, "Oh, we need to get out. Move your car." But then that guy's gonna call the next guy to have him move his car. Anyway, I think it's funny. I couldn't imagine going out to my car and having to call somebody so that I could leave. That would be very frustrating. Yeah. Anyway, week 5, not terribly interesting across our leagues, but let's take a look. Starting off with Ball Fondlers versus Turd Ferguson's oversized hats. I had my best game of the season so far, almost 130 points, thanks to Amari Cooper and Matt Ryan, both getting over 30. Unfortunately, Colin Cregan continues his reign of huge games with 150, thanks to Christian McCaffrey. I don't know. My top players did better than his. Unfortunately, I have a couple 1-point scorers, thanks in parts to thanks to the Giants' injury and Emmanuel Sanders. Kind of a bummer there. Moving on to Lou Top Squeak Bottom versus the Park City Patrol. Geb had Aaron Jones, who ran in for 4 rushing touchdowns, as well as almost 100 yards receiving. Aaron Jones got himself 45 points. Deshaun Watson got 40 points. Unfortunately, Colin's bench just wasn't as deep. Semi had 1 player score 40 and then drops down into the teens, whereas Geb had 1 player score 45 and then has some other 20s to back it up. Geb will be moving up to 4-1, and our friend Semi will be dropping to 1-4. Moving on to Squeak Squeak Motherfucker versus the Young Hoes. Kind of middle of the road game. Both teams got a 20-point scorer. But unfortunately, Squeak had the goose egg with Mike Evans. Didn't leave too much on his bench, so it's, what can you do? Squeak will drop to 2-3, and Krish will hop up to 4-1. Moving on to games that still have players to go, we have the low-scoring game of the week. Mr. Poopy Butthole versus Dun Dun Dun. Kenny is currently leading by just over 3 points. He still has 2 players left to go, so unless they lose him those 3 points, he'll be winning. Thanks in part to Tiller, who decided to play Rex Burkhead in his flex spot this week, despite being ruled out. Had he played one of his other benched players, this would be a much more interesting matchup. But thanks to Tiller, Kenny doesn't regret leaving nearly 40 points on the bench. Fueled by Jägermeister really gave it to Brett Favre's penis this week. Lou got 117 to James is 86. Eagles defense getting 35 points thanks to, I think it was 2 defensive touchdowns. I do like watching the quarterbacks, getting the ball ripped out of his hands. That was entertaining. Unfortunately for Brett Favre's penis, he left 46 points on the bench. I guess Will Fuller, kind of a surprise, but yeah, that one will hurt. Brett Favre's penis will drop to 3-2, and Fueled by Jägermeister jumps up to 2-3. And finally, we have No Sleep Till Maryland against The Party Rages On. Kurt managed to get 115 points, currently beating Tom Butler by 35. Kurt still has Nick Chubb to go, who, if last week is any indication, should be able to maintain that 35-point lead over Tom Butler's kicker and defense. But if the Eagles can get 35, who's to say the 49ers can't? Me, I say that. And now it's time for our weekly segment, Vika's predictions. Vika?
Hi.
So it is Monday night game. We have the Cleveland Browns playing against the San Francisco 49ers.
Yeah.
Any thoughts?
Well, I think that 49ers are probably going to win.
Oh, yeah? That was confident?
Well, because, first of all, they've won 3 games, and they didn't lose any games.
You're right.
Yet.
Yeah.
Yeah, and also they had a week off,
Uh-huh.
so they had more time to relax.
Yeah.
And, as you probably may know, they've been investing in their defense for years. So,
Okay.
I kind of think that should pay off this night.
Okay. Fantastic. So the defense of the 49ers to stop the Browns.
Yeah, go defense.
Great. Well, not much happening with the Monday night game in the fantasy world, but Niners-Browns could be interesting. Vika's banking on the defense. Yeah, it's a cold day in Russia. There's going to be a lot of those coming up. Yeah. Anyway, go football. Go Dutch. See you next week.